I hate pre-ordering games. It just doesn't work. I never pre-ordered games when I was a kid. I would just go to Tesco at midnight, and 9 times out of 10, I'd have to go and speak to the security guard. Or, more realistically, I would hide up an aisle and get my mother to do it, because technically I was underage. But, like, point is that at midnight, I could just get a Tesco and come home with the game that I wanted without even having to pre-order. It was great fun. Larger games like Call of Duty or Battlefield or Assassin's Creed or GTA, once a decade, they would have a real midnight release where potentially there'd be a queue. When I worked at Tesco, I would be the member of staff staffing the midnight releases. These days, though, pre-ordering games doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to get the game on release day, and there's no guarantee that you can walk into a shop and buy it. Most places don't sell brand new games these days. Tesco don't sell games at all. Asda still sells a few, but like randomly by the look of it. Honestly, one of your best bets at getting a brand new game these days is still CEX, because they still get a few copies in pretty much instantly because someone somewhere is trading them in for some reason. So I've pre-ordered Dragon Ball Z Sparking Zero that comes out tomorrow, or if I was to get it at midnight, today. Or if I wanted to pay, £100, I could have played it 3 days ago. I don't like that, by the way. I really don't like that there's this pay nearly double to get it a few days early thing, because no, I'm not doing that. As much as I could justify it because content, but I want it physically. This is the problem. I've come to the conclusion, by the way, that once my PlayStation 5 shelf is full, I'm no longer collecting physical games for the PlayStation 5, and I will stick to collecting older stuff because I'm sick of this. I hate the way that we are in modern day, which, yeah. So I pre-ordered Dragon Ball on Amazon, because usually Amazon is pretty good, but the problem with Amazon where I am is they deliver really, really late. So for example, Silent Hill 2, I ordered it twice physically, because I couldn't guarantee that either of them would be here early enough in the day. I was going to end up going to an Argos in another town over so that I could get it on the day straight away, but it ended up coming pretty early, and I thought that was Amazon, but it wasn't, because then at 8 p.m, an actual Amazon one arrived when I was cooking dinner, and I was like, great, 8 p.m. Generally, Amazon, where I am, delivers really, really late. So, like, Amazon for pre-ordering games is not brilliant. But Dragon Ball says that it's coming on Saturday, so the day after release, which isn't ideal, which means that tomorrow I'm going to wake up and I'm going to start exploring, and I'm going to get a game and hope that maybe they've got some in stock physically. I'll go to Curry's, I'll go to Argos. I'm losing the will. I really am. I really hope that I'll be able to get it, but there's no set in stone thing. I'm willing to bet that tomorrow I might have to drive God knows how long to some random Argos that'll have it. There's like 3 or 4 Argoses within an hour of me. I'm willing to drive to any of them. We'll see. Or I could just get it digitally like a normal person. But I really want that case. But as soon as this shelf is full, I'm done. I'm done with PS5 because I'm sick of having to do this. This is twice this week and it stresses me out. In other news, I've been ordering some cool stuff off eBay. There's, I think, 3 things on the way currently. One of them is an empty case, but I'll explain that one when it gets here. You guys know that, or at least you should know if you've been around a while. Speaking of which, if you haven't already, do be sure to subscribe because a massive proportion of you already haven't. That'd be cool. That a lot of my PS3 and 360 stuff when I was in my mum's house got sun damage, so I had to rebuy them. And before I rebought them, I recased them myself, which bothers me. But anyway, one of the games that I'm still yet to replace the case for, I have found a fancier edition for, but it came without the game, and I was like, I've got the game. My game's fine, it's just the case I need the replacement for, so I've got a fancy replacement case coming for that, and along with a few other things, and I'm excited to show you them when they get here, because it's a new obsession of mine, I do suppose. I've also been looking at replacing some of my DVDs with their Blu-ray counterparts, because we're at the point now where Blu-rays don't cost as much as they used to. So for example, when I was originally collecting DVDs, it was back when I worked at Tesco, I was getting paid less than £300 a month. I didn't exactly have the budget that I do now for buying things from CEX en masse. But if we pick something random and hope that I've used a good example, one of the Bourne films, this is probably the opposite of a good example. No, it wasn't. As you can see, 50p. You can't get DVDs for 50p at CEX anymore. They're all minimum £1. But you used to be able to get them 50p, and I would come out with stacks. A lot of people are like, why DVD over Blu-ray? And that was why. Because when I was originally collecting 50p DVDs versus nearly a tenner minimum for a Blu-ray back then, I have things that matter lots on Blu-ray. So for example, Hobbit and Lord of the Rings, they're Blu-ray. Some horror on Blu-ray. Where's one of my horrors that I'm particularly proud of or particularly enjoy? The Nightmare on Elm Street saga on Blu-ray. Harry Potter Blu-ray, Back to the Future Blu-ray potentially. But anyway, point is that I've been going through and looking at what would I actually want to replace on Blu-ray, because I wouldn't need to replace everything and that would be a real waste of money. But some stuff I think would be worth replacing on Blu-ray just because it would look loads better. I'm kind of the opinion that some stuff doesn't need replacing on Blu-ray because it's old enough that I don't think it's really going to gain much. Like if it's literate, like I might be wrong here. I fully might be wrong, but I feel like if something is of a certain age, that putting it on a Blu-ray isn't going to improve the way it looks much. Surely, you know, because it just didn't look that great when it was filmed. Like, for example, 28 days later, there's no world that you can ever make that look good because of how it was recorded, as a good example. But when it comes to things that I actually want to replace, you got the Pirates of the Caribbean films, because I love those. The Planet of the Apes films, because I love those. All of the superhero stuff that isn't already Blu-ray needs to be, because that would massively benefit, especially the X-Men stuff. Although it will mean losing this. This is my Adamantium collection, which I do enjoy. I don't know about the original Superman and Batman stuff, because, again, will that benefit? It's old enough that it might not. I don't know. Some other, like, big epic stuff, like Gladiator, which I'm seeing in the cinema in a couple of days before Gladiator 2. They're showing Gladiator 1, so that's quite cool. I do have some random miscellaneous Blu-rays. You guys know that I've kind of got the autistic memory. Well, those two there were my first Blu-rays ever, Dragon Ball Evolution and Dragon Wars. My mum thought that I was bought those when I was a kid because, well, Dragon Ball, and she thought it's Dragon Ball, he'll love it. And two, Dragon Wars, she thought it was related to Dragon Ball, and it wasn't, so there's that. I'm also looking into collecting more handheld stuff because handheld boxes kind of look cool, and the only issue there is I've got nowhere really to display them. So, for example, I would really love to have the Legacy of Goku trilogy boxed. I've got the first one here. I already own the second game, but I don't own the box for it because that was the first one I ever had since I was a kid. And then Boo's Fury just straight up didn't get released in England, so like a boxed version of that's going to be really, really hard to come by. Yeah, but some games that I think would be awesome to own physically that I don't would be all of the Mega Man Battle Network games boxed. That'd be pretty cool. So there's 6 of them, 12 if you count the alternate versions. Or, well, like 9, because I think it only split off at 3. But like, I don't care about owning all the versions of it. Just 1 to 6 in some form or fashion boxed would be awesome to do. There was a dude who reached out to me like a month ago with a Mega Man 1 boxed, and it was before I set up my PO box. Link down below, by the way, so I didn't have anywhere for it to go. And I kind of lost his chat on Instagram, because I get hundreds of messages a day there. So if you're watching this by any chance, message me again, please, because I do want to buy that Mega Man off you. Yeah. On top of that, my local CEX has got literally every Professor Layton in right now. All the Professor Layton games are pretty common, except for one of them, which is less common and like 5 times the price of the others. And I keep talking to my partner about it, because she loves Professor Layton as well, and it's like, it's the sort of thing she would play too. I'm tempted to get her own DS just because I don't want her to break mine in reality. I don't know. Anyway, I feel like she'd play those too if I bought them, so it could be cool. But up to now, they only had the first 4 in, and now there's like 5 or 6 of them in, and I'm like in just one CX. So I'm just like, ooh, do I pull that trigger? Because you could get the first 4 or 5 for like 15 quid, 20 quid total, but then one of them is like 30 quid. So I could get the set for like 50 quid, all in one CX, and I'm tempted. I'm very, very tempted. I'd also think it'd be kind of cool, and this is like collector stereotype 101, to have the boxed Pokemon games as well. That would cost a fortune to make happen, because like, especially the Game Boy ones are all like £150 minimum each for the boxed versions. And it would be a bit silly because I already own all of them physically, just through getting them through my youth, just without the boxes. So, you know, why did we do that as kids? The amount of money that we will accidentally put in the bin just because at Christmas or birthdays or whatever, we'd open a game, throw the box away, and he's gone. Little did we know that 20 years down the line, that box would be worth a ton of money. This one is potentially going to sound absurd, as like one of my final collecting updates for the day, is I kind of want to hunt down more of my missing childhood stuff. So, for example, I realised the other day that if we come down to here, I only own 2 of the Casper films. I do believe there's 4. I distinctly remember watching Casper and all its variations on repeat as a kid, and I think it'd be cool to have them. I just like looking back at things. I'm very nostalgic, and just standing here and looking at things and the memories each thing brings back brings me joy. Like, for example, This shelf down here that is just all Scooby-Doo means a ton to me. I love it. There's a couple of cases that need to get replaced because they got wrecked via the sun damage. Like, I think Legend of the Vampire and especially Cyber Chase might be a little bit crusty. But, yeah. So I'm tempted to start trying to replace, or not replace, but find more of my childhood stuff. Like, here's another example. Where are we? Pokemon. So, more of the Pokemon films, perhaps. I think I have the ones that I watched as a kid. So I've got 1, 3, 4, and 5. I think there's probably literally like 20 of them now, so it's probably less relevant. But like, just the ones that I would have cared about as a kid would be cool to have more of. It's a shame because something I really wish I could buy is like box sets of cartoons that I would have watched as a kid, just in their entirety. Very few of those cartoons from like the Nickelodeon Cartoon Network era have box sets. There's a box set for Ben 10 and Ben 10 Alien Force that I have, but there's no box set for Ultimate Alien or whatever the one after that was that was probably a little bit after my time. But like, I'd love a box set for all of Codename Kids Next Door. I'd love a box set for all of The Fairly Odd Parents or Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy, Hey Arnold, Cat Dog. Like, the list, I would probably, I don't think there's an upper limit. If you released all of the cartoons that I watched as a kid on big box sets, I don't think there is an upper limit to what I'd spend, because it would be brilliant to me, because again, very nostalgic and I care about it and it would be nice. Dexter's Lab, Samurai Jack, hell, even the Powerpuff Girls. As a kid, it's like you didn't want to say you liked the Powerpuff Girls because it sounded girly, but like, we all did. You're a liar if you said you didn't. Foster's Home for Imaginary Kids. What else? Robot Boy, was that the name? Robo Boy? You know, the little robot that could like evolve. What else? Yu-Gi-Oh! All has box sets. There's definitely box sets for Yu-Gi-Oh! In fact, the only reason I think I don't have the Yu-Gi-Oh! Box sets is because of how big the boxes are. Like, I'm pretty sure that because they were released season by season or something, that it would take up like half a shelf just for like the original Yu-Gi-Oh! Series, never mind like GX and 5Ds. And like, I have some American viewers, and you guys have these box sets, some of them. Like, another example would be Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the 2003 series was my era. That got a box set like a year or two ago for some reason, just randomly 20 years after the fact. In fact, that would probably make sense if it was some sort of 20th anniversary edition. But I don't think that was released in England. And it's like, there's another one. It's so annoying when things get released elsewhere, but not here. Or, weirdly, like, things get volume releases here but never full sets. So, for example, I've got a few episodes of Fairly Odd Parents on DVD from when I was a kid. Like, random volume 1, volume 3, or whatever, but like, there was never the entire series that was released. All of SpongeBob, there's another example. This would be brilliant, wouldn't it? I don't understand why they don't do it. It can't be that expensive to produce and distribute. Like, I'm sure there are lots of 20 to 30 something people that would love to relive their youth through these, and I know that we can find them online for free somewhere, and some of them are probably on certain streaming services, but I want it on the shelf. That's what I want. So, yeah, that was today's collecting update. We got a ton of plans in motion, some very different stuff. Hope you guys enjoyed. I'll see you later.